That'll get more viewers that way.
Not while you're on this.
And that's the whole point. Good morning, Tony Dottino here, doing my Live with Tony from a vacation resort in Winter Garden, Florida. And unfortunately, the first day of vacation has been found with some heavy storms and tornado watches. So it's a good time for me to get on my Live with Tony before I go about, hopefully, a little bit clearing later on this day and get the chance to go to the water park and enjoy some of the pool and the beach that they have here. So, but I wanted to talk today that some of the people that we've been working with that have been just wonderful people to work with and really helping them better comprehend the reading materials, the books that they're reading to make them, what they're reading for purposes of increasing their professional work, and or books that they're reading for accreditation of exams, and how we go about doing that. And we use a combination of a technique from the Roman room or the loci method, as we talk about, looking for key thoughts and words and making associations, and then pulling that forward and putting it onto mind maps, a mapping of a mind, as I like to describe it. And so the first thing that we're getting people to learn to do is when they are reading, and this is something I learned from Tony Buzan a whole number of years ago, we have to realize that as we're reading text, and whether it be on the internet or whether we read it from a hard copy book or a magazine or professional policy, our brain is looking for the key words that provoke links, connections, and associations in our mind that help us then with comprehension, the filing away in our brains, the retention of it, and then the ability to recall it on a longer term. So we use a combination of getting people to start to look for, first of all, anchoring objects that they're going to use to make their links and connections. And when we talk about that, we talk about anchoring. What are things that you're most familiar with that you could count on? If I were closing my eyes and I walked around a room in my house or my residence, or my office, and I could close my eyes and I could go around the walls and I could find, and we'll just use 10 today for examples, I could find 10 things that if I just close my eyes, I can see a light switch, I could see a socket for wiring, I could see a picture, I can see a TV mount, and I could just walk around this room and I see these things so clear, they're so well anchored. I use the word anchor because they're there, man. You can always count on them. You can always depend on closing your eyes and walking around a room, and these 10 objects or 10 items, curtains, a window, a doorway, they're always there. I mean, no matter what I do, no matter what I think about, these things are just solid. They're like a rock, and that's what I call your anchors. Now, our brain then looks to make links, connections, and associations. So now I'm reading a book or I'm reading a list of words, and as I've said in the past, doing grocery shopping. I want to take the key words that are in the text that I'm reading, and I want to take each of those key words and I want to start creating associations so that the key words, if we think about every 10 words of prose or written text, one of them is the one that we grab onto for comprehension, linking, connecting to build the story for us. And then as I'm reading through, I'm looking for those key words and I'm going to bounce them against one of my anchors. So I'm reading a text and it talks about a passageway. All right, passageway is a key word that I'm reading, and it has a whole story about what the passageway is and what we need to go through to get through to that next gate, and there's a security system around it. And so I take the word passageway and I link it, connect it to the first object, which is my light switch. And I say, my goodness, if I hit that light switch, it puts lights onto a passageway that allows me to move forward. And so on, I go through the text. And I go through security. Okay, wow. Okay, next thing is security is my light socket. So I look at the light socket and I think, my goodness, there's a security system built into the light system that helps me plug it in so that when I do, I don't short circuit. And so I now go from passageway to security as I'm walking down this hallway and going towards a meeting that I have to have with a number of people. And so I just continue to go through the text and find these keywords, and I bang them against, or I associate them, bang them, bad choice of words, I associate, link, and connect them to the anchors that I've established around the room. And so on as I go through my text. Now, you might say, well, gee, my goodness, I'm reading a text that's good, 10 pages long. Well, you may need more than 10 anchors, obviously. As I say to people, think about other rooms in your house that you can close your eyes and you can just walk around the edges of the walls, and those the objects and the things that are anchored against the walls are anchors in your brain that you can totally retain and recall with eyes closed. And that's the hard work. Once you get your anchors, my goodness, we got somebody that we're talking to that's got 1,000 anchors. My goodness, so how do you get 1,000 anchors? Well, I use a system of how I take my anchors and chop them into fours, and then I use multiple areas, and also my walking, we call it a journey method of the room and room. As I walk about my day or drive to work or drive to a store, I think of things that I'm always seeing, light poles and buildings and things that are unique, that just, I close my eyes and then these things are there. So the hard work in this is really coming up with anchors that you can close your eyes, see yourself standing or being in that physical location, and the things that you're seeing just pop right into your mind, which then give you the basis of whatever you're reading and making these stories up and these associations and connections that then link. Now, we do that and you say, now how do we get this on paper? How do we get this thing so I can create a document and I can put that document in front of myself and look at it in a series of reviews and begin to move this from short-term memory to long-term? And so what we do now is we call it mind mapping, or mapping a mind. And what we're basically doing is creating a central image of the major topic, and then from that major topic it says, okay, from the major topic we now start to go to what we call major branches. What are the major themes of what you just read in this passage or in this book or in this comprehension that I want to retain, that are important to me? And so I get those key theme branches. So think of a picture in the middle, and then you do these theme branches like the roots of a tree system. And now the roots grow out, and the roots closest to the trunk are the thickest. And then the secondary branches go out from there, get a little bit thinner, and then you wind up with twigs and third level, and you can even go fourth level branches. And so you start creating this root system of something you want to retain that starts with what are the major categories that I want to retain, and from those major categories, what do we do with the next sub that makes me think of the next level of thought I have when I look at the category, and so on and so on. And so what you basically create is a map of your mind on a particular topic of importance that you want to remember. Now, what do you do with this mind map after you do it? So we're teaching people how to go through their technologies or their procedures or their manuals or books in some cases, grab the major topics that you want to cover in the book or in the procedure that you're trying to retain for an exam, and then build the secondary structure. Okay, when you think of those major topics, then the secondary structure comes, and then what do you do from there that you want to fill in details on? And so now we take that, we create this root system of something you've read, and now we want to review it. Well, when do you want to review it? Well, first of all, you want to put it together in the context of how you review something, and then you put it together. There's your context right there, and there's how you begin to create focus, and you begin your first step of getting this down on a document. Now you're using your hands, you're using your eyesight, and then you might even verbalize the retention and recall. So you're using your senses, and you're multiplying the interconnections, and all of this, when it comes together, begins to really help you. God, this is what this book is about. This is what this exam is going to be like. And my goodness, I can do this. I've got a process I can follow that starts with understanding anchors and systems of how did we begin to make associations. We take those and we begin to read now with context. And that helps us then to build the root system we need for a mind map or a mapping of the mind. And now I need to go through a review cycle. And now I've got a process and a system of learning that is just enhanced as I continue to follow the process. And it's amazing the results that we're creating. And I see it over and over again in how you define a process of learning to learn that people have never been taught. And the difference it's making in their professional lives is huge. And the question we get after they've passed their exams or tests or what have you, why didn't I ever learn this in school? And that's the million-dollar question. Why haven't we taught kids the process of learning to learn? Well, I'm hoping the rain's going to start here, and the rain's going to stop. The sun's going to come out, and I get a chance to go out to the sand and the beach, or out to the pool that they have, and enjoy some of the relaxation time that I have. But I always like to do my Live with Tony's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to keep my followers, be it on Facebook or YouTube, informed at least some of the thoughts of what I'm going about in my day-to-day life that may make a difference in theirs. So have a good day, and we'll see you back on Friday.